Hello everyone, and welcome to the first session of what I am calling a game of ice and fire. My name is Drew, and I will be filling the role of narrator. Our story takes place in a world where the seasons last for years, sometimes decades at a time. 8,000 years ago, during the Age of Heroes, a terrible darkness fell across the world and brought a winter that lasted a generation. On the continent of Westeros, this time is remembered as the Long Night. According to legends there, in the midst of this darkness, a race of demons called Others or White Walkers emerged from the utmost north of Westeros, the polar regions of the lands of always winter. And here I will show people where that is. They wielded razor-thin swords of ice and raised wights to fight the living. The children of the forest and their allies, the First Men, fought valiantly against them, but were driven southwards by their advance. The others were only defeated when a man known as the Last Hero, aided by the children of the forest and the First Night's Watch, drove them back with a fiery sword in the battle for the dawn. Steps were taken to ensure that the people would never again be caught off guard by an invasion from the north. Bran the Builder raised the Wall, an imposing structure of solid ice and magic, 700 feet tall and stretching 100 leagues from the gorge in the west to the shivering sea in the east, cutting off the lands of always winter from the remainder of Westeros. The Night's Watch was established to guard the wall and protect the people from threats beyond it. The Rhoynar tell of a darkness that made the Rhoyne of Essos dwindle and disappear, her waters frozen as far south as the joining of the Selhoru, until a hero convinced the many children of Mother Rhoyne, such as the Crab King and the Old Man of the River, to put aside their bickering and join in a secret song that brought back the day. Other legends from the further east state that the blood betrayal began the Long Night. The Lion of Night was unleashed upon the world after the Maiden Maid of Light turned her back upon it. A great hero, known in different cultures as Azor Ahai, Hirkun the Hero, Yin-Tar, Nefarion, and Eldric Shadow Chaser, wielded the flaming sword Lightbringer and led humanity to victory. In Essos, in the time since the Long Night, empires have risen and fallen. The Valyrian freehold, the most recent of these empires, was established on a peninsula which extended into the Summer Sea. Valyria was ruled by its dragon lords, led by 20 rival houses that contested for power. The Valyrians were more than dragon lords, though, with rumors that they practiced blood magic and other dark arts, delving deep into the earth for secrets. Their empire first conquered the old empire of Gis to the east across Slaver's Bay, and the Giscari colonies in the Basilisk Isles and Sothorios. Seeking slaves to mine the volcanic Valyrian Peninsula, they then conquered and established colonies to the west and north after defeating the Andals and the Rhoynar in Essos. They built dragon roads, perfectly level and straight highways made by using dragon fire to fuse stone, connecting their cities and other economic centers. They also fashioned Valyrian steel to make weapons and various other items of unparalleled quality. Magic and spells play a role in its forging, and blades made from it are stronger and lighter than ordinary steel, with a keener edge that never goes dull. Valyrian steel has a distinct pattern of smoke-dark ripples, the mark of steel that has been folded back on itself many thousands of times and looks almost black from a distance. The Doom of Valyria, often simply called the Doom, was the cataclysm that caused the collapse of the Valyrian freehold, which had prospered for 5,000 years. It occurred about a century before Aegon's conquest of Westeros. Spells, knowledge, and recorded history were lost in the Doom, and a century of blood followed the disaster. The only family of dragon lords to survive the Doom of Valyria, the Targaryens left the freehold 12 years before. They resided for more than a century at Dragonstone, until Aegon the Conqueror began the first of the Wars of Conquest. Aegon Targaryen, Lord of Dragonstone, aspired to unite the 7 kingdoms of Westeros under one ruler. Slightly more than 100 years after the doom of Valyria, he began his conquest, in which he was aided by his 2 sister wives, Rhaenys and Visenya. All 3 were dragon riders and used their dragons Balerion, Meraxes, and Vhagar in battle. Aegon's conquest lasted for 2 years. It began with his landing at the mouth of the Blackwater Rush with a small force, and ended when Aegon was anointed king by the High Septon in Old Town. In total, he had conquered 6 of the 7 kingdoms, with only Dorne remaining defiant. From the swords of his enemies, Aegon created the Iron Throne, and the dynasty he began would rule for nearly 300 years. Aegon had constructed a wooden castle at the place where he had first come to shore, and the town that grew around it became King's Landing, the kingdom's new capital. House Targaryen ruled as the kings of the Andals, the Rhoynar, and the First Men, the lords of the 7 kingdoms, and the great house of the Crownlands for nearly 300 years. 17 male Targaryens ruled from the Iron Throne, and during their rule they fought wars both foreign and domestic. The last of the dragons died, and Dorne ultimately joined the 7 kingdoms by marriage. The dynasty ended with the death of Aerys II Targaryen, known as the Mad King, during Robert's Rebellion, in which the Targaryens were overthrown and replaced by House Baratheon. The 2 surviving children of Aerys II, Viserys and Daenerys Targaryen, fled into exile, and have resided in the free cities of Essos ever since. This tale begins on the island of Skrell, one of the many islands of the Stepstones. According to legend, the Stepstones are remnants of the Arm of Dorne, a land bridge which once linked Westeros and Essos. More than 10,000 years ago, the first men used that land bridge to cross into what is now known as Dorne to begin their invasion of Westeros. During the Breaking, the Greenseers of the Children of the Forest are said to have used magic to shatter the land bridge into an archipelago named the Stepstones, located between the Broken Arm and the Disputed Lands. During its rule, the freehold of Valyria established Tyrosh as a military outpost to control trade near the Stepstones. Whatever control the Valyrians may once have exerted over the Stepstones collapsed after the doom of Valyria, and pirates thrived there during the chaos of the subsequent Century of Blood. The 7 kingdoms and the free cities have fought for control over some or all of the islands, but these gains were always temporary. The most recent of these wars over the Stepstones was during the 5th Blackfyre Rebellion, known to most as the War of the Ninepenny Kings. The war began after a group of mercenaries and pirates from the free cities banded together to carve out kingdoms for themselves. This Band of 9 was born in 258 AC, when they met beneath the Tree of Crowns and formed their alliance. They began their conquests by overrunning the disputed lands and sacking Tyrosh. Then they marched on the Stepstones, conquering them with ease. King Jaehaerys II Targaryen had known that the Band of 9 meant to win the 7 kingdoms from Meleys the Monstrous, who styled himself King Meleys I Blackfyre. Meleys was the last known descendant of Daemon I Blackfyre, the first of the 5 Blackfyre pretenders. He was named Meleys the Monstrous for supposedly having eaten his twin in the womb, making him a kinslayer, albeit not by choice. He had a grotesquely huge torso and arms, as well as a second head sprouting from his neck, no bigger than a child's fist. Meleys grew up in exile in Essos, and eventually became a kinslayer deliberately when he fought his own cousin, Daemon, for command of the Golden Company. Meleys killed Daemon's Destroyer with a single punch to its head, and then twisted Daemon's head until he tore it from its shoulders. And here's the part where I mentioned that things sometimes get a little graphic. So, artwork here is a little graphic. Let's see. In 260 AC, King Jaehaerys sent an army to the Stepstones to meet the Band of 9 in battle. Meleys personally killed Lord Ormond Baratheon, Jaehaerys' Hand of the King, early in the war. Towards the war's end, Meleys himself was killed by Sir Barristan Selmy, a young knight from the Stormlands, who thereby ended the Blackfyre threat to the Iron Throne. Selmy was given a position on the Kingsguard for his heroism, forcing him to give up his claims to land and title, as well as his betrothal. Maelie's death decided the war, as the other members of the Band of Nine were barely interested in Westeros and fell back to their own domains. Their union would not last much longer. Captain Victor of the Grey Swallow was given the island of Skrell as his fief by the Prince of Dorne during the taking of the Stepstones, to establish it as a stronghold. The port of the Blue Wharf became a military harbor, and the hamlet of Trader's Rock blossomed into a small town with a bustling marketplace. Victor, now a lord and captain, took the name of Skrell for his own, and combined the colors tawny for his wife Alicia's Dornish heritage, and azure for his own Ironborn heritage, with the Grey Swallow of his ship for his house sigil. Lord Victor had 3 children, Ayara, Baelor, and Sarissa. Ayara died at 12 of a snake bite, making Baelor the new heir, and when Sarissa was 13, she was kidnapped by raiders. During Robert's rebellion, an aged Victor began the construction of Skrell Castle, near the small town that had grown around the river, and pledged his support to House Martell and the Crown Loyalists. Because of the location of the island and how easily the port could be defended, the Blue Wharf was chosen as a rallying point for Loyalist ships in the Narrow Sea. Victor died of a fever while the banners and ships were still making their way to Skrell, and his son Baelor took over command. Baelor proved a weak leader, indecisive, and his assembled fleet never left the harbor. Since the war resulted in the defeat of the Targaryens and the exile of their only surviving members, the only ones to hold the Skrells to account were House Martell of Dorne. House Skrell lost influence at court and has lived in relative obscurity since the end of the war. Lord Baelor married Inera Foros of Tyrosh and had 2 children, Lorena and Martin. Due to Dornish custom, Lorena is the designated heir to House Skrell, even though she is female. The 2 children have never been allowed to leave the island for their own protection, but have not wanted for much due to the wealth of their house. When Martin was 10, he was kidnapped by pirates and ransomed back to his father, but the pirates didn't get far. Lord Baelor had sent his own small fleet after the pirates, which captured or killed them at sea. Those brought back were not given much mercy either, being whipped in the town square, some to death, and then imprisoned for a month before finally being hanged from the battlements. That was 4 years ago. Robert Baratheon has ruled as King of the Andals, the Rhoynar, and the First Men, Lord of the 7 Kingdoms, and Protector of the Realm for 15 years. The year is now 298 AC, and it has been summer since 288, the longest summer in living memory. Martin. A flash of purple light fills the night sky for a moment and is gone. The roar of thunder sends tremors through your body, and the next flash brings back the sight of the beach, strewn with corpses. Your eyes begin to adjust to the absence of light, and out of the darkness you see a small boat wedged into the sand with dead men all around it. As you get closer, you see weapons in the hands of the dead, and piecemeal armor and bloody wounds. Inside the boat are 3 corpses, one in steel plate, clutching a sword awash in gore, one in fine silks, grasping at a slashed coin purse with golden dragons streaming from it, and the last is dressed as a simple septon, but he has no mouth, just skin from nose to chin. Under this 3rd man, you see a long wooden box, and as you reach out and touch it, another bolt of lightning blinds you. When your vision returns, you are no longer on the beach. Instead, you are in the great hall of Skrell Castle, with courtiers, knights, ladies, squires, men-at-arms, servants, and all manner of people at tables filling the space. You look around you and see the smiling faces of your mother, father, your grandmother, and sister, all at the high table with plates of fresh fish and crab and various cheeses and fruits and the strong smell of savory meat permeating the air. Musicians play and dancers dance, and the drunk stumble all around you as the world goes white once more. Screams fill your ears instead of thunder, and the hall you see now has turned red. The dead are all around you, covered in wounds from knives, teeth, chairs, and fists. Your family looks at you with sad, gray eyes, blood-filled mouths open, speaking their mute warning. Another flash and a blast of thunder that is long and low as a horn. A face appears in front of you, his pale blue lips and eyes smiling back at you when a second peal of thunder sounds, louder and longer than the first, shaking the very ground you stand on. Another eye opens above him, this one red and terrible, with a black pupil so deep and dark that when it suddenly bursts forth in fiery pieces, it blinds you more than the lightning ever has, and the third blast of thunder is so loud and deep that it sounds like the breaking of the world. And that crashing, rocking sound you hear slowly transforms to a knocking at your door, as a page has brought you your 2 Dornish spiced eggs and some honey fingers from Tyrosh to have with your morning meal. James Martin Skrell, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Give us a description. Tell us all about yourself.
All right. I am Martin Skrel. I am but 14 years old. My sister, I know that my sister is due to be the heir to the throne, and, well, that suits me just fine. She can take all the responsibility that comes with that, and I'll keep doing what I do best, which is, well, whatever the hell I feel like. I am a little lordling, and I know it. Yeah, I will give you a hard time if I feel you deserve it, and, well, I might just give you a hard time just for the fun of it.
Okay, what do you look like?
I'm not, I'm 14, so I'm not, I'm 14, so I'm not very tall. Barely, 5.5 feet, 140 pounds, small, not physical in a substantial manner at all. Darker, not dark skin, but, I'm an islander, so slightly tan, dark hair, a spattering of freckles across my face. Often wearing finer clothes than the normal folk would wear because, well, I'm a lordling.
Good deal. All right. Well, you take the time. You can enjoy your breakfast. After a few moments of that, you are again greeted by a knock at your door. This time, you open it to a man in his mid-40s, almost 6 feet tall, looks pretty slender for his height, dressed in black, just, robes, just regular old black robes, nothing special adorning them, brown hair. You know that this man is Nicholas. He is the assistant to the maester, and he greets you and is here to escort you to your morning lessons. Comes by most mornings, so he knocks at your door. Martin, are you there?
Yes, Nicholas, come in.
He opens the door, takes a step in. Dornish spiced eggs and honey fingers. Are you enjoying it?
Not as much as most mornings.
Oh, what happens to be wrong with it?
Nothing wrong with food. However, I had a disturbing dream. It felt different.
Different in what way?
Realer is the only way I can think to describe it.
Well, dreams are often, I think, ways of our mind trying to tell us something. Maybe that we aren't fully aware of ourselves yet. So maybe it's just something like that. I don't know. I'm no analyzer of dreams. That was never anything that I was too concerned with. But if you're ready, I'll take you. I can take you to the Maester. He may have more experience with that since he actually got his chain.
Yes. Give me just a few moments to finish my meal.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. And yeah, you're granted a few minutes. If you'd like to take them to do anything, is there any prep?
I will take the time to jot down a little bit of what I recall from that dream.
Okay. Yeah, if you want
specifically,
to... Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Just everything that I can remember. I try to make a small note of it. The lightning, the beach, all the bodies, specifically the 3 men and the boat, the one in the mail, or wait, no, was it steel plate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other, and then the plain dress man.
Okay. Yeah.
With no mouth or nose.
He did have a nose, no mouth though. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay. Just no mouth. Okay.
You take a few seconds and you jot down what you are able to make of that dream, every little detail that you can remember. And you write it down as quickly as you can. You're doing this early in the morning, right after you have this dream, I am assuming. So it's still pretty fresh in your mind, and yeah, that'll help you should you ever need to remember it in the future. I'll give you some. I'll give you a extra bonus dice on that or something.
Okay.
Excellent. So if you want to make a note, maybe of that in your possessions, because you have writing stuff. If you just want to say maybe notes on whatever dream you want to call that.
Okay.
Then yeah, I'll and I can send you the text of that document at some point too.
Cool. Thank you.
So that you can reference it. Yep. Cool. Well, after you do that, Nicholas will take you over to the Maester's Tower, which is in Skrell Castle. It's kind of in the corner. Actually, you guys are all on on Roll20 now, right? Do you have the campaign launched yet? If you don't, I would say go ahead and pull up a tab for that.
I don't have it launched, but I do have it up.
Yeah, go ahead and launch it, because I will be I can use that as a reference, especially right now. Because... oh, wrong one. So that you can actually see what the castle looks like.
Do I need to... Amazing. Do I need to set up my microphone through Roll20 or no?
I would say no.
Okay.
Don't worry about that.
Dunzo.
Although mine is going through there, I think. So, let me see. Cool, that should do it. All right, now there shouldn't be any sound coming through. All right, yeah, if you are on Roll20 now, you should be able to see the map of the castle. So if you don't, let me know.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, so that's kind of what the castle looks like. And for those watching, because this is the thing now, let's see if I can get that to work. Yeah, I can. Look at that. Okay. I have so many tabs open to get this to work. Okay, ready. So, you are going to the Maester's quarters for your lessons. You travel through the hall. It's, it's familiar to you. You see people kind of going through their normal daily activities. Pages walking back and forth with, food for people or messages, all that kind of thing. And you are escorted out of your quarters, down a long corridor to the Maester's Tower, which is towards the front end of the castle, where you meet with Maester Hargreave. Both he and Nicholas are going to stay in the room for these lessons, and that's pretty common. Maester Hargreave, you see, is, got a big brown beard and kind of like the bald cap going around his head, no hair on the top of his head. He is a little younger than Nicholas at only 39. You know that both of them met in Old Town at the Citadel when they were studying for their Maester's chain, but Maester Hargreave was the only one that actually completed his. He and Nicholas remained friends and took up employment here, and they kind of have an ongoing argument over whether or not you need to be a Maester to know things. So, just all in good fun kind of thing. So you enter this hallway. There are books, vials, all sorts of things all over this wall in this room. There are tables with all manner of different small tools and like tinkering things, and it's just it's a lot of little bits and things everywhere in this room, but it all is pretty well organized. And you enter here for your morning lessons. So, and Maester Hargreave greets you with a, "Ah, yes, Martin, good. You're a little later this morning than usual. Is everything okay?"
Oh, I'm sure they are. I had a most peculiar dream. It felt quite real. There were bodies on a beach, and bodies in a boat.
Bodies on a
Three
beach
of
and
them.
bodies on a boat.
And then there was a flash of lightning, and I was in a hall with my family. Some who I know are no longer with us. And there was merriment and a feast, and then all of a sudden it was a horror show. Beaten and bloody bodies everywhere, and then a flash, and something else, a loud thunderclap, but bigger. It shook. It seemed to shake the world. And there were eyes. Cold blue eyes, and then red eyes.
Hmm.
Does that mean anything to you?
Not particularly, no. I mean, bodies on a boat, bodies on the shore. I mean, we live on an island. It makes sense that you would be dreaming of things that you would see on an island. Those are both fairly common things, I would think. The part about everyone in the hall sounds like you might be worried about your family safety, perhaps? And then you kind of hear Nicholas chuckle in the background as if this is an incredulous thought. The idea that you are concerned about the safety of your family. So much that it would be weighing on you to have dreams over it, so...
Is something funny, Nicholas?
Oh, no, my lord. Do you pursue that further?
Maester Hargrave?
And he
please.
will continue on, saying that it may just be concern for your family that's causing that part of your dream. The part about the blue eyes and the red eyes, I can't say. I mean, most of the people around here have brown and hazel, but there are a few blue-eyed folk, I suppose. Red eyes, that's a more unusual one. I don't know anyone with any red eyes. Or even really legends of anyone with red eyes. Might take some thinking. Was there anything else? Or was it just a dream?
Just the dream. It's soured breakfast, though.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Is there something else that we can have brought to you for refreshment while we partake of the learning?
No, I'm tired of talking about it. Let's get on with it.
All right. Well, as you know, we were going over Targaryen history and some of the wars that they fought. In particular, we were about to approach the Blackfyre rebellions. They were a series of wars fought over the succession to the Iron Throne. Do you remember how many there were? So this next part is going to be just kind of an introduction to skill challenges. There's a bunch of questions. They'll get harder. You, as a person, player, may know some of these things. If you do, you can just answer them and we'll skip it. If you don't, I've got some difficulties here that you can roll. These will all be knowledge tests with any bonus dice that you have in education. So, about to have some rolls.
All right.
So the first one is just how many wars, how many Blackfyre rebellions were there? How many have there been? Do you know the answer to this question?
Not off the top of my head.
All right. Well, the easiest kind of test that exists is an automatic one, where the difficulty is 0. So this is an automatic answer question. But you may roll just to see what you would get anyway. The reason that this is easy is because you have learned, you've studied things before, and this is pretty recent history. And is actually pretty important to the founding of your house. So, pretty common knowledge for you. But yeah, so this is a knowledge test. So the way that this works, both because this is the first time that we're all doing this together and because this is going to be something that's on the internet, you're rolling a number of dice equal to the rank that you have in knowledge. So for
the rating?
Yeah, so for Martin, that is
it's a 4.
A 4, and you
plus
get to
1.
add your bonus dice from education for this test as well. So you're adding your bonus dice. So it's 5 dice, and you're going to subtract the lowest one. That's the number that I'm wanting. So go ahead and give me that roll.
That is a 13.
A 13. All right. You search not very far in your memory, and you know that the correct answer is 5. There were 5 Blackfyre rebellions.
There were 5 Blackfyre rebellions.
Yes, that's correct. The blame for these rebellions can largely be laid at the feet of King Aegon IV Targaryen, known as Aegon the Unworthy. Do you know why he is called that? So this one's a bit more of a discussion question, but I can give you the long answer as well, if you have any ideas for why he might have been called Aegon the Unworthy. If not, I can get you to roll another knowledge test. This one is an easy, which is a 3, is what you're trying to beat.
Okay, well, yet again, I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I expect that these will only really get harder, so you probably won't know many of these beyond this point.
Okay.
As a player. But the goal here is I'm trying to show you, the player, that you don't have to know lore stuff, but if you want to try to remember it, your character probably does. So don't be afraid of not knowing things. You can just,
Gotcha.
in most instances, make a roll and try to figure it out.
Righty.
Mm-hmm.
Well, goddamn, I wish I'd saved that one for something important. That's a 22.
A 22. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would know vaguely, well, not vaguely, you would know pretty specifically that Aegon was pretty much unable to just control any of his own inhibitions. Anything he wanted, he went for. Anyone that tempted him with anything, he would give up anything for whatever pleasures that would come. If you want, you can have a discussion with the Maester about this, but it's more, there's also a thing that I can just read to go through it, going in a bit more detail, so.
Okay. Yes, please.
Alright. So with his father's death in 172 AC, Aegon, the 4th of his name, became king. And he had been comely in his youth, skilled with a lance and sword. A man who loved to hunt and hawk and dance. He was the brightest prince at court in his generation and was admired for his wit. But he did have one great flaw. He could not rule himself. His lusts, his gluttony, his desires, they all controlled him utterly. Seated upon the Iron Throne, his misrule began with small acts of pleasure, but in time his appetites knew no bounds, and his corruption led to acts that haunted the realm for generations. Aegon soon filled his court with men chosen not for their nobility, honesty, or wisdom, but for their ability to amuse and flatter him. And the women of his court were largely those who did the same, letting him slake his lusts on their bodies. And then here you hear Nicholas kind of like give him like a move past this part. But Maester kind of says, no, he's 14, he's of age, he needs to hear this. On a whim, he often took from one noble house to give to another, as he did when he casually appropriated the great hills, called the Teats, from the Brackens, and gifted them to the Blackwoods. For the sake of his desires, he gave away priceless treasures, as he did when he granted his hand, Lord Butterwell, a dragon's egg in return for access to all 3 of his daughters. He deprived men of their rightful inheritance when he desired their wealth, as rumors claim he did following the death of Lord Plum on his wedding day. It was said of Aegon that he never slept alone. His carnal lusts were satiated by all manner of women, from the highest born of princesses to the meanest whore, and he seemed to make no difference between them. In his last years, Aegon claimed he had slept with at least 900 women. The exact number eluded him, but that he had only truly loved 9. Queen Nerys, his sister, was not counted among them. The 9 mistresses came from near and far, and some gave him children, but each and every one, save the last, was dismissed when he grew weary of her. However, one of those natural children came from a woman not accounted his mistress. Princess Dana the Defiant. Do you remember the name of their son? So this is another question. Difficulty here is a 6. So this is just the next step up in difficulty. This would be a routinely difficult thing. Something that some people do every day, but some people still have trouble with.
That is a 6, 12, 16, 18.
All right. Yeah, you have no trouble remembering that this person's, or that this child's name is another Daemon. There are a lot of similar or exactly the same names, you'll notice. This is Daemon Waters, as he was first known, because he is bastard. He was originally bastard born. Daemon Blackfyre is the name that he ended up taking in the long term. You would know both of those as answers, but Daemon is the answer that you know that he's looking for.
Okay. Daemon, Maester Hargrave.
Correct. Daemon was the name Dana gave to this child, for Prince Daemon had been the wonder and terror of his age, and in later days that was seen as a warning of the boy, or of what the boy would later become. Daemon Waters was his full name when he was born in 170 AC. At that time, Dana refused to name the father, but even then Aegon's involvement was suspected. Raised in the keep, this handsome youth was given the instruction of the wisest maesters and the best master-at-arms at the court. He loved nothing better than the deeds of arms and excelled at them, and many saw in him a warrior who would one day be another dragon knight. King Aegon knighted Daemon in his 12th year, when he won a squire's tourney, thereby making him the youngest knight ever made in the time of the Targaryens, and shocked his court, kin, and council by bestowing upon him the sword of Aegon the Conqueror, the Valyrian steel sword, or great sword, Blackfyre, as well as lands and other honors. Daemon took the name Blackfyre thereafter. Can you imagine that at 12, being knighted and given your ancestral greatsword?
Rub it in, why don't you? I know I'm not the heir.
That... Never mind. Queen Nerys, the one woman Aegon IV bedded in whom he took no pleasure, was pious and gentle and frail, and all these things the king misliked. Childbirth also...
See why she bored him.
Childbirth also proved a trial to Nerys, for she was small and delicate. Do you remember the name of their firstborn son? And this one is another... this one is challenging, so 9.
$16.
16. All right. So the other person's name was Daemon. This person's name is Daeron.
His name was Daeron. I don't know what's up with them. All these names sound so much alike.
Well, he was named after some people, as most people are. You were not, but your father was. His story comes up here in a second, actually. When Prince Daeron was born on the last day of 153 AC, Grand Maester Alfred warned another pregnancy might kill her. Some questioned the legitimacy of Prince Daeron's parentage, suggesting instead that Prince Aemon, the king's brother, was the father. At this point, Nicholas kind of butts in with a... Grand Maester Kaith's Lives of Four Kings makes it plain that the false accusations of the Queen's adultery were actually instigated by the king himself, though at the time Aegon denied it. So he's acting like this is some juicy piece of gossip, but this is... everybody's known this for 100 years, maybe, at this point. Longer. So, it's an older book. Yeah. And then Maester Hargreave kind of looks at him and kind of resumes back to what he was reading. In the last years of his reign, Prince Daeron proved the chief obstacle to Aegon's misrule. Some lords of the realm clearly saw opportunity in the increasingly corpulent, gluttonous king who could be convinced to part with honors, offices, and lands for the promise of pleasures. Others, who condemned the king's behavior, began to flock to Prince Daeron. Despite all of his threats and calumnies and tasteless japes, the king never formally disowned his son. What he did do would embroil the Seven Kingdoms in conflict for generations. What was his last official act before death? So this one is a 12. Formidable. What was Aegon IV's last act before dying?
13.
Let's
Ooh,
go.
Hey, there we go. Now we're getting close. So you would know that what Aegon IV did was he legitimized all of his bastard children on his death, so that every one of them had a claim to whatever they were born to, to stand and inherit. The ones that were born to noble women were known as the Great Bastards. So there were a bunch of bastards, obviously. He's been with a lot of people. But the ones that were also born to noble women were known as the Great Bastards. And most of them had, like, waters or hill or rivers names. They had the bastard names of wherever they were from.
Okay. He legitimized all his bastard children. It was a whole thing. Everybody got mad about it. Everybody had something to bicker or argue who was better than who. The greater bastards and all the other bastards and bitches.
Well,
are we done?
It seems that your language has certainly improved since the last time we spoke. We're approaching the end, yes. Hold on. The reign of this unworthy monarch came to an end in 184 AC, when King Aegon was 49 years of age. He was grossly fat, barely able to walk, and some wondered how his last mistress, Serenai of Lys, could ever have withstood his embraces. The king himself died a horrible death, his body so swollen and obese that he could no longer lift himself from his couch, his limbs rotting and crawling with flesh worms. The maesters claimed they had never seen its like, whilst Stepstones declared a judgment of the gods. Aegon was given milk of the poppy to dull his pain, but elsewise little could be done for him. His son and heir, Prince Daeron, departed Dragonstone within the fortnight after learning of his father's demise, and was swiftly crowned by the High King Septon in the Red Keep. He chose to be crowned King Daeron II Targaryen with his father's crown, a decision likely intended to quell any remaining doubts about his legitimacy. Do you know who his queen was? So this one is hard. 15. $16. All right. Yeah, hey, there it is. So you would know that he married Princess Mariah of Dorne.
There's a Dornish woman, Princess Mariah.
Mariah, yes, that's correct. This marriage is what brought Dorne into the Seven Kingdoms, in fact. King Daeron also commissioned the construction of a great seat in the Dornish Marches, near to where the boundaries of the Reach, the Stormlands, and Dorne met. Calling it Summerhall to mark the place he had created, or the peace he had created, it was more palace than castle, and lightly fortified at best. In the years to come, many sons of House Targaryen would hold that seat as Prince of Summerhall. Though Daeron was no warrior, descriptions of the era note that he was small of frame, with thin arms, round shoulders, and a scholarly disposition. 2 of his 4 sons seemed all that could be wished in a knight, lord, or heir. The eldest, Prince Baelor, after whom your father is named, won the name Breakspear at the age of 17. Following his famous victory at Princess Daenerys' wedding tourney, he defeated Daemon Blackfyre in the final tilt. Yet too many men looked upon Baelor's dark hair and eyes, and muttered that he was more Martell than Targaryen. Knights and lords of the Dornish marches came to mistrust Daeron and Baelor as well, and began to look more and more to the old days, when Dornishmen were the enemy to fight, not rivals for the king's attention. And they would look at Daemon Blackfyre, grown tall and powerful, half a god among mortal men, and with the Conqueror's sword in his possession, and wonder. What, then, tipped Daemon over into proclaiming for the throne? It seems likely it was another of the great bastards, Sir Aegon Rivers, called Bittersteel. Perhaps it was his black bracken blood that made Aegor so choleric and so quick to take offense. Perhaps it was the ignominious fall of the Brackens in King Aegon's esteem, leading to his exile from Aegon's court. Or perhaps it was only his rivalry with his half-brother and fellow bastard Brynden Rivers, who had been able to maintain his close relations at court. For Bryndon's mother had been well-loved during her life, and was fondly remembered. So the Brackens did not suffer, or the Blackwoods did not suffer as the Brackens did when the king cast off his respective mistresses. Do you know what Brynden Rivers is commonly called? This one is very hard. 18.
Oh, 20. 20.
20. All right. You got all of them.
Go!
Nice. Okay. You would know that the common name that Brynden Rivers is referred to is Bloodraven, for the supposedly raven-shaped birthmark on his face. And at this point, Maester Hargreaves speaks up. Oh, Bloodraven. That's right. He has red eyes, actually. He's an albino. And that brings to mind that there were some children of the forest, I think, that also had red eyes. It was a bit of a... I'm not sure what it meant. It meant something, though.
But you don't know?
I, for the life of me, I can't remember. But I'm sure there's a book about it somewhere. I can look and see what I can find. And at that moment, you hear a knock on the door, and you hear your sister Lorena's voice calling. And Maester Hargreaves says, "Yes, come on in, come on in." And she walks in. You obviously immediately recognize her as your sister. For everyone else, she has kind of longer than shoulder length brown hair. She's wearing fine blue robes. She has green eyes, 5'6". She's 16. And she comes in and says, "Hey, Maester Hargreave and Nicholas, my Lord Father requests you in his solar. There's been some news. Martin, why don't you come as well? I would at least like to speak with you in the hallway on the way."
Okay.
Okay.
That's
and then
fine.
Maester Hargreave and Nicholas get up and make their way up to Lorena and start making their way down to the Lord's Tower, which is the kind of the opposite end of the same side of the inner keep of the castle that you guys are in. Along the way, Maester Hargreave and Nicholas kind of are chit-chatting up a bit, kind of wondering what the news might be. Especially since this is, the Maester is being brought this news. He's usually the one that is sending out news. He's surprised that he hasn't heard of whatever this is yet. And Lorena comes up and talks to you. Martin, how are you doing this morning?
Other than boring lessons as always, fine, I guess. Breakfast was ruined because I had a dream.
You had a dream? What?
Yeah.
What was it about?
Everybody's asked me about it. It was a lot, okay? There were bodies, and there was our family, and there were bodies again, and there was this loud boom. It's not how I wanted to start my morning.
You notice that she kind of starts walking a little bit slower when she hears you start talking about this. And she says, "That's strange. I had a dream too, but it doesn't sound anything like yours. I don't know."
Well, what was yours about?
It's hard to say. And I don't really understand it. I think there's something that you're supposed to find, but I don't know what that could mean, or I don't really know.
And not you?
Yeah. I don't really understand it. That's why I wanted you to come with this meeting. I don't know what the meeting's about, but I feel like you're supposed to be there. So come on.
Okay.
All right, and we will cut that scene right there.
To have all the responsibility.
And we will move over to the archery butts, where we will pick up with Bartholomew Storm, aka Thali. Josh, why don't you give us a description of your character?
It's your boy. So I am playing Bartholomew Thali Storm. He is a sweet little boy. No, he is a 28-year-old man. He is a bastard of the Stormlands, and kind of grew up with a bow in his hand for one reason or another. He has kind of fought his way through life, and has had reason to use the bow and projectiles on many occasions. Eventually fell in with some folks who, taught him that he could make plenty of money with the marksmanship skill that he had, so he just continued kind of following the coin, and one way or another has ended up in several skirmishes, and now finds himself on Skrell Island with the bow in hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you are kind of resuming your morning ritual of practicing at the archery butts. You are out here with some people that you are pretty familiar with. Voro of Liz is here with you. And I will go ahead and give you a little bit of a description, since this is the first time we're really seeing him.
Sorry, that is the one thing that I've neglected.
Oh yeah, character description.
Yeah, Thali is tall and gaunt. He kind of looks like he's got jet black, very nice hair. Kind of looks like Jake Gyllenhaal. I guess would be the most like a dirtier Jake Gyllenhaal. Very thin, and yeah, kind of blue eyes and tall, thin, black hair, pretty man.
All right. Cool. Well, he is out at the archery butts with two people that he's very familiar with. Like I said, Voro of Liz. Voro is of average height and slender, with long black hair that he keeps shiny with scented oils from Liz. He has piercing blue eyes and sharp angled features. We
look a lot alike.
There are some similarities there, yeah. Voro was born and raised in the free city of Liz, the son of a merchant and his wife. He didn't lack for money at a young age, instead getting to spend time working on archery and in his own private studies. religions of the world hold particular fascination for him when he isn't pursuing women or money. Voro decided to make his own way working in sellsword companies throughout the Free Cities, eventually taking up service with the Skrells in the Stepstones, and you know that he's pretty good with a bow or a crossbow, both of which he is preparing for practice this morning. And then next to him is a woman named Nim. She has very short, also brown hair and olive skin. Let's see. She was born to a woman named Alice when she was 15. Alice told her that her father was a holy man, but has never said what his name was, and she's never met him. She was only 7 when her mother died of a fever, so she quickly learned how to live on her own. And she can handle herself both in the city and in the wilderness, though she prefers the wilderness. Over time, she became renowned as an archer, and she hunts with a longbow made of ash wood. She's now 20, small, slender, with short brown hair. She spends a lot of time out in the sun, and she's got some pretty rough calluses on her hands, showing that she's pretty good with the longbow as well. So both of these people are out at the archery butts, just kind of carousing and getting ready for the day's practice. And Voro kind of speaks up, and hey, Nim, do we want to take any bets on some of these shots this morning? What do you think? She kind of gives him a sly look. It's like, on what? Are we taking bets on specific shots? Because we know that Thalia will win all of those. Or are we taking shots at distance targets? Maybe just to hit things. Voro kind of looks over at you. What do you think?
Voro, you're gonna have to wash the oil off your hand if you plan on hitting any of the targets that I can hit.
Well,
I'll take some action though if you guys want in. I'm always willing to spend a little money to make sure that I can win a little money.
Okay. Well, the targets that you see are set up farther than they normally would be for like average people to practice. Knowing the 2 people that you're shooting with, you know that both of them are very competent with their weapons of choice. You also know that you're better than both of them at the longbow.
Okay.
By a little bit. So, as such, the odds will be a little bit less favorable, but yeah, or difficulties will have to be changed. But yeah, so they've got the target set up. The way that these will work is you just take 3 shots at a target. The target that you're trying to hit is a 12. So you would roll a normal like marksman test, like you're rolling to try and hit someone in armor. And I'm going to compare it to this test. So a 12 is what you're trying to beat. Initially, and they get more and more difficult. I already see you're smiling, which means that you have rolled a test just to see what you can roll.
No, I'm pretty sure, unless I'm mistaken, I roll my rating plus my bonus die when I'm shooting with a bow, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I cannot roll under a 12.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the way that bonus dice work is you remove the lowest, however many of those there are. So for your test, you're rolling 7 because you have a 7 in marksmanship, which is the highest that you can have. And you're also, I think you have a 5 bonus dice.
Correct.
Bows. So you're rolling 7 plus 5 dice, and then you're taking away the lowest 5. So those bonus dice are just...
see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's still going to be a ridiculously high number.
And I can roll under a 12.
You can. It's still going to be hard.
Okay, I understand.
It'll be less likely. So the way that this will work, since these are targets and not actual people that you're shooting at, this will introduce the idea of degrees of success. So normally when we make a test in this, it's either going to be like a pass-fail thing, where you're just trying to beat the number, Sometimes, though, there will be a reason where you would want degrees of success. So if you roll and just barely pass a knowledge test, I might say you kind of remember the bare details of whatever it is you're trying to remember. But if you get 2 or 3 degrees of success, I'll give you more, details on that subject. In battle, when you hit something with more degrees of success, those degrees multiply your damage. So that's the easy way to look at it there. For these targets, there's just going to be the rings that you hit. So the outer ring is just hitting the DC, and then it goes in from there. So
Awesome.
Yep. Okay. So the first round, we'll just do a warm-up just to see what kinds of things you're rolling.
Okay.
Just because I have done some tests on this already, and I know that these are going to be ridiculous numbers, and I just can't wait. So, do you want to roll to see who goes first? We'll roll a little initiative to see who goes.
Sure, that'd be great.
Who takes their shots first. So, normally initiative for combat is going to be your. Whoops, I guess I didn't have to do that on there. It's your agility plus any bonus dice that you have in quickness.
So I would roll my agility ratings worth of dice, correct?
Yeah, and then if you have quickness, you would roll those bonus dice.
Okay.
Voro is going to make his roll, and he rolled a 13.
I got a 9.
You got a 9. All right, and then I just dropped my dice. Let's see what Nim gets. Nim, does she have a quickness? I think she might. Nope. She got a 14. All right, so Nim is going to shoot first.
So yeah, Thali, the way I kind of envision that playing out is they play some sort of game akin to, rock, paper, scissors, essentially the personable version of flipping a coin.
Yeah.
And Thali loses and goes, well, I may not be lucky, but at least I can hit the target.
Nim kind of shoots you a sly glance, and Voro chuckles. And Nim gets ready to take her first shots. So because I have all of this already set up on Roll20, I'm just gonna do it there because it'll be easier. So she is going to take her shot, and hopefully that worked. Oh, why do I have to do that? There we go. All right, so she takes her first shot, and so a degree of success, I should have gone into this. So if you meet the number that I'm trying to have you meet, which in this case is a 12, that means that you succeed. So if you hit the number, that's a success. Hitting the number up to 4 above the number is 1 degree of success. From 5 to 9 is 2. From 10 to 14 is 3. And then anything from 15 above is 4 degrees of success.
Okay.
So that is just something that you will want to memorize for this, because that'll be... But it's basically in groups of 5. Like, you hit the number, it's in 5 above that. Okay, so that's a brief description of how that works. So, the number that she was trying to hit is a 12. She rolled a 20, which is 2 degrees of success, which puts her hitting the second most ring. So not a bullseye, but the one... Or no, not a bullseye. The one 2 rings out from that. With her first shot. So then she will shoot again. And this time she hits the target out 1 ring even further than that. And
you're going in the wrong direction, Nim. You're supposed to shoot towards the center.
She looks at you, and then without looking at the arrow, she takes that next shot and hits the second ring in again next to the first shot.
Nice.
So not much better, but slightly better than her second shot. And then it is Voro's turn. So he will step up and he will take his shots as well. And I think he is going to be rolling pretty much the same thing. Although for him it's a hunting bow. Yep. So his first roll is an 18, so 2 degrees of success there. He hits that same 2 rings out target. Rolls again. This time, hitting that outside ring again. And then he gets his third shot. Ready. Fires it, and this time it goes to that second ring in. So he takes his 3 shots. Looks pretty unhappy with them. Seems like they went about as well as Nim's did, and he was hoping to be intimidating here at the beginning.
Nice.
And then they kind of both look at you with a little bit of apprehension as you step up, and go ahead and prepare your shots.
Your boy's lefty, so he goes in there, probably directly facing them. All right, so I dropped the lowest 5. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're rolling 12 dice and dropping the lowest 5.
This is insane.
Good lord.
All right. A 36.
So without even really trying that hard, you kind of limber up your shoulders, you pull back and release and immediately hit the bullseye on the first target. And the two kind of look at each other and look down and shake their heads.
Okay. Thalia will fire another one.
Okay.
Let's see. This one's maybe better. 40.
Yeah, these aren't D&D numbers. This is, yeah, 40. Yeah, you pull back another arrow, and again, without hardly even putting much effort into aiming, you're able to hit the bullseye again. And the other two go ahead and just start grabbing arrows, preparing for the next shots.
All right. I'll make it easier on you. And he switches hands to shoot right-handed instead of left-handed.
Okay.
And I'm happy to roll just the 7 and not drop.
So what
5.
I will do is for swapping hands like that, I will impose a penalty, which is essentially, I'm going to drop, so you'll drop
roll
an additional
7,
dice.
keep this straight.
Keep 6. So you're, okay, I see what you're trying to say.
So
losing
not roll
all of the
bonus
bonus
dice.
dice. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Because I don't know what
lefty?
imposing disadvantage is like in this game.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways that I could do it.
Okay.
Let's see what that would even do. Let's try that. Because you're shooting with a hand that you didn't train with, so why not? Yeah.
Right.
Just lose
Okay.
your training in that hand.
Okay.
So yeah, just roll the flat 7.
Ooh, the flat 7. Now we're gonna have a more realistic number. 18, 19, 20, 21, 24.
All right. Let's see. That's still 12, which is not quite the bullseye. That is 1 ring out. So yeah, you shoot with your offhand, and it makes it more of a competition.
There you go. That's what we'll do.
So they see
I'll make
that,
it easier
and they're
on
like, all right. Let's, first one, let's see. Highest score on this next round. And everybody pitches in, say, 5 silver pieces.
I'll go in for 5.
All right. Nim kind of gives a look, kind of analyzes you real quick, shrugs, chips in her 5 as well.
All smiles.
Nice.
He's having fun. He doesn't care if he loses money. He's just messing around.
Good. All right. Well, so for this one, we can just roll all of them. Initiative doesn't really matter. We're just doing 3 arrows looking for the highest score. So I'll go ahead and roll Voros. That's a 22.
Nice.
And then a 17. And then a 10. Oh, he missed entirely.
So, I don't have to remind you where the target is, do I? You do know that that's what we're shooting at. He points at the target.
It's only 5 silver, and I'm still warming up. So with that, he got a total of 4 degrees of success. Nim is going to take her shots. First one is a 22, so there's 2. Another 21. And a 20. Alright, she's rolling
Nice.
really well. Alright, which puts her at 6 degrees of success total. So, let me get yours.
Are we gonna do one more round after this?
We can. There's something else coming as well. So
Okay.
if you have something planned, then yes, we can do that.
No, I'll be fine with this. I'll play the part and just keep rolling right-handed.
Okay.
20. 20 on the first one for
20?
shooting right-handed.
All right.
Uh, 29 on the second one.
Oh. That's right. You can still roll high. It's not as likely.
Right. And 26 on the third one.
Jeez. All right. Well, after that display, Nim kind of nods, and Voro just rolls his eyes and shakes his head. Fine, take it. It's yours. And they both toss you the money.
He bows deeply.
Yeah. And then you guys notice, Nim notices first, but you all eventually do notice that there is a man kind of hobbling from the gatehouse towards the main keep. Excuse me. He is on crutches, and you recognize that this is Sir Clace Harker. He's the 56-year-old castellan of Skrell Castle, making his way towards the keep. Looks like he's in a hurry on his crutches. And after he passes on by, you're able to resume training at the archery butts. If you wish, we can do another round. Voro kind of looks over and says, "All right, but if we're going to do that again, your target's going to be farther away."
All right. So what was his name that just walked by?
Sir Clace Harker.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So if you want, you can do another round.
Yeah. I'll prep my bow and kind of do this. We can do this while kind of chatting.
Okay. Yeah. So the next bit will be the difficulty is just going to go up to 15 for this next one. So that's really the only difference in the shots.
Okay. I'll switch back to left-handed, but I'm gonna probably do something stupid.
Okay.
Yeah, you can roll while we chat if you can roll while we chat.
Yeah.
But where do you reckon Sir Clace is headed?
Well, in a hurry like that, I would imagine he's trying to get the attention of either the Maester or the Lord himself. Hard to say, though. We could send someone after him. Voro shoots at the target, rolled a 26, so that's 3 degrees of success. And then shoots again, rolled an 18, so that's only 2 degrees of success.
Who
Wait.
do you have in mind to send after him?
Well, you could go ask him if you want to, or we could find one of the pages around here and send them inquiring. I don't know. And it's clear that he's trying to focus, and and his aim is a little shaky because of it.
Amazing.
Yeah, his last 2 arrows are not as on point as his first one was. So he walks away better than his first round, but still with 5 degrees of success all told. Nim then gets ready and starts taking her shots. Let's see, she rolled a 21, her first one, and a 24 on her second one, and another 21. So she's walking away with, what is that, another 5? So they're tied right now at
Okay.
5.
So my goal is to hit right inside his closest, right inside her closest, and then to fire a bullseye into the target. So I basically just want to. I don't want to like split the arrow Robin Hood style, but I want to like skin it, just right next to it.
Just enough to. Okay, all right. I'm gonna say. Because this.
But I will go back to. I would go back to left-handed, but I'm happy to take any sort of.
Yeah, let's say.
Challenge
this will be more difficult because you're trying to hit a very, very specific spot.
Correct.
So I'm gonna say, instead of removing your bonus dice for this one because you're shooting normally, you can still use them, but the difficulty is gonna go up. I would say significantly. I'm gonna make this. Yeah, I'm gonna say, on each of those shots, I need above a 21.
Okay.
Which still should be no problem for you.
Okay. So I say, yeah, sure. Let me just make quick work of you lot, and I'll go chase after. You said it was the Castellan. Is his job description?
Yeah. So the Castellan is essentially the person that is in charge of overseeing the defenses of the castle and the lands. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. 36 to be right inside his.
All right. Yeah. You pull back and you look over at Voro real quick before you take your shot. You kind of wink at him, and then take your shot, and it skids just right on the inside of his arrow. And then you're able to ready up and take your next shot.
Right. And I'm not even like. I just want them to realize slowly what it is that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And 34 to be right inside her closest.
34. All right. You look over at her now, and she's kind of looking at you like, why did you shoot? And then you release your arrow, and it cuts right on the inside of hers on her target. And she looks at you, and she just goes, "Oh, you ass!" And then you're able to line up your third shot, should you wish.
Right.
And this is at a harder target. I'm gonna leave the difficulty the same because you're trying to hit a bullseye, which is essentially the same thing.
Woo. Okay, so 32.
All right, and with the last shot, you kind of you make a bit more of a flare. You take your time drawing this last arrow, and you line it up, and you just kind of just let it go, and it flies straight, perfectly center. And as you're turning around, they're kind of shaking their heads, willing to pony up the next 5 silver apiece for this. And a a page walks up to you guys, the three of you, when you're doing this, and summons you, all three, to the Lord's Solar in the Lord's Tower.
Do they have quivers on? Are there like arrow storage racks or anything like nearby?
There are arrow storage racks nearby. Yes, there are plenty of practice arrows here to use.
So I'd like to say that we have like a few like stuck in the ground, that we're like pulling from.
Sure.
I'd like to pick up like a bundle that's there on the ground and just kind of nonchalantly toss them into the arrow racks. Just kind of as an extra way to be an absolute dick about how good he is.
Okay.
So just kind of like you're in the classroom and you're like shooting a paper ball into a trash can. It's that. Same.
Yeah, let me get you to roll
Absolutely.
marksmanship with the bonus dice from Throne.
Yeah.
And I want you to... I'm going to impose an additional 2 dice penalty, just because you're throwing a lot of arrows into these bins, trying to make it all line up. So the way that this will work functionally is you're going to roll 9 dice and then take away the 4, the lowest 4.
Okay.
And yeah, tell me what you get.
Ooh, lots of 1s. That's not good. Lowest 4. Okay, 12, 14.
14. Okay. Yeah, you make this flourish and you throw the arrows, and almost all of them land in the bins that they're intended for. Some of them kind of scrape around on the edges, but it looks pretty badass. But there are a couple that still miss.
I look at him and I go, human after all. Let's go.
Yeah, all right. And the page takes you the corridors that you are very familiar with, and you are able to make your way through the Great Hall, through the corridors to the Lord's Solar for what looks to be getting to be a bit larger of a gathering of people. There are several people here now. You recognize the Maester, Hargreave, and Nicholas, as well as Martin and Lorena. And in this room also is Lord Skrell himself. I'm on the wrong page. Still on the wrong page. He is 40, 5'10", 160, with kind of graying brown hair and hazel eyes. You know that he's the middle of 3 children, and that his older sister died when they were young, and his younger sister was kidnapped. So he's lived a pretty solitary life. Married with 2 kids. Seems to be pretty protective of his children. He is here dressed in kind of the orange and blue colors of his house. Fine clothes, but not ostentatious. You can tell that they have money, but he's not, dressed, to the nines himself. You also see some of the other knights. You see Sir Claes Harker is here again, along with Sir Marcus Cantel, who is the Master at Arms. He's the one that kind of oversees the training of the other, any other knights or men-at-arms in sword play and that kind of thing. There is a Sir Merrick Sand, who is a bastard from Dorne, who's serving as a household knight. There is also a Sir Darren Verloren, who is another household knight. And last but not least, there is also Radava Ironhand Harclay. So let's finally, I know that this took forever. Sorry, Colin. But let's get you to introduce your character.
Yeah, let's do that. Radava is very clearly out of place in the court. Even taking into account some of the knights, some of the armsmen. These are all people who grew up around the castle town, at least. Radova looks more like he would be at home in a tavern or on a boat. He's got this sort of shock of long black hair that is partially hidden underneath a red bandana tied tightly to his skull. Has a piercing a ring going through the top of one ear and hanging off of the lobe of the other. And is wearing this almost scale mail armor that stops partway down his torso, leaving this very smooth and ripped abdominal region on display. But instead of the sort of normal iron scales you would see, it's coins all kind of woven together that runs down both of his arms into these metal gauntlets. He's a very strange figure in the middle of this group, and seems at home, at least, or at the very least like he belongs there, despite this mispresence almost.
All right, great. Well, that is Radova. Yeah, so that, I think, completes the list of the people that are in this room. If you want, I can put up on Roll20 a room, and we can all put the people in there so that you have a reference, if you want. This meeting,
If I want, yes, I want.
This meeting, I will say, has the potential to last at least a little bit. I know it's already 10. I don't know how long you guys feel like participating in things tonight. I know that Josh at least has to work early in the morning. So.
Mm-hmm.
I can do a meeting. How long we thinking?
Probably like half an hour to go through all of the planning at least, or the talk.
I can do half an hour. Let me I can do that.
Okay, cool. All right,
Yeah, we can do that.
Well, let me get this area set up. It's going to be on Roll20, so you can just go to Roll20 and I'll get everything. Actually, he even have the room set up, kind of. Look at that. I think I did. Then I will move you all to it.
Awesome.
And let me make sure that they can see it. Yeah. All right. Now everybody can see what we're talking about. So, and let me zoom in for them so that they actually can see names.
I'm going to get some candy and then I'll be back.
All right. I'm going to zoom in on this table real quick so that everybody can see everybody. Hopefully. Yeah, so you guys kind of all walk. Why am I not able to? Oh, that's why. Wrong one. Okay.
Hell yeah.
So I'm gonna move everybody on in. And you guys should be able to control your own characters on here and move them around. So if you want a different seat at this table, you should be able to just drag your character there.
About to take the throne.
Yeah, hopefully that all just works and I don't have to worry about it. But anyway, so this is a list of all the people in the room and a kind of token so that you can see what everyone looks like. Let's see, who are we missing though? We're missing our player characters.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
We're missing.
I'm there.
Yeah, you're there. I don't have. There's Thali.
Hey.
And let me Radova in here as well. All right. Yes. Okay, so that's everybody, and you I guess you'll just have to see his health bar.
Behold, my health
Who's
bar.
health bar? Okay.
Radova and Thales, theirs are displayed right now because of reasons.
So,
Yeah,
do we know...
these are all the people that are in the room, and that is where things stand right now. You're kind of all getting here at the same time.
You said there was a list as well?
Well, these are the people that are in the room right now. Can you? Oh, right, you can't see their names, can you?
Right.
Sure
Let
can.
me...
Y'all want some candy?
Can I see their names? I can. Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Just...
Digitize them Skittles and send them this way.
You got it, dog.
Please.
Yeah.
Sour Skittles are one of the best things on the planet. Except when they switched lime to green apple, worst decision ever.
Yeah, that seems incorrect somehow.
That's almost worse than
That's-
Ajax changing their slogan from stronger than Greece to whatever it is now. Two
Yeah.
capital offenses from two companies.
Huge
Do
mistake.
something not good.
Yeah, it couldn't possibly be
My,
better than that.
No, that's literally one of the best slogans that has ever existed through all of capitalism.
Yeah.
And
Yep. All right, their names should be popping up now. Are they?
yeah, they are.
they
Okay,
are.
Good. Good. Yeah, that ought to make things a little bit easier on you at least. Just because there's a lot of characters and knowing who they are is,
Sort of important, yeah.
probably going to be important. Yeah. Yeah. So you guys are all kind of approaching this area at the same time, give or take a few minutes. All right. Is that everybody? I think that's everybody's nameplate. Yeah. Can everybody see Martin's?
Mhm.
No.
Well, no,
Mhm.
sorry.
Okay, that should be everyone. Okay. Still getting kinks worked out. Okay, so everybody makes it to the solar, which is just a big room. It's essentially a giant study that the Lord uses to handle business and meetings. So this is where this is happening. All of you are, pretty aware of everyone else in the room. So none of these are unusual faces for you. The first thing that I want kind of as the narrator to take care of is something that will happen each month as part of this house. And those are the house fortune rolls. Or the house fortunes. They may not be a roll. They take place once a month, and they always happen. You don't have to roll on the fortunes chart every month, but you will have to make a roll once every 3 months at the very least. On the months that you choose not to make a roll, you can instead just increase one resource by 1 point. So that would be foregoing your fortune rolls for the month. You would do that instead. If you want to, you can instead roll on the fortune chart for your house. The acting steward does that. They roll they roll a status roll with bonus dice from stewardship, and then that goes on that chart. And then that can grant you anywhere from increasing one resource by 6 points or 2 by 3, all the way down to decreasing one resource by that amount or 2 by 3. So it can be very helpful. They can increase house resources so that you can invest them into different things. Or you can opt out of rolling for it and just say, I want to increase one resource this month. So that's the first thing I want to do. That's kind of a meta thing that happens before we get into the RP thing that happens. So let me pull up the chart real quick, which is on 123.
The steward is who?
The acting steward is going to be the person with the... Let's see if I even Let me pull up character sheets real quick. I think it is going to be Baylor. Is going to be the acting steward, though. Skrell. Baylor Skrell.
Follow-up question.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's definitely him.
What?
So he has 6. He has a 6 status, so he's going to be rolling 6 dice, but he doesn't have any bonus in stewardship.
What are... Do Thali, Voro, and Nim know why they are in a room with knights, maesters, and lords?
This would be a
And
fairly
Radova.
common...
And Radova.
Yeah, this would be fairly common for them. You guys all
Okay.
work as retainers for this lord, and
Okay.
this would be him calling you because there's something that needs to be taken care of. So
Amazing.
This is
Got it.
kind of a meeting, yeah. Okay, so for the House Fortune rolls, numerically, the test results can range from a 1 all the way to a 42 or more. And they will grant you something. Disaster, a curse, decline, growth, blessing, or boon, I think, are the ones that they can be. All of which either add resources or take away resources. And the higher the number you get, the more likely it is that that will be a positive result. So, you guys, since you guys are the players, I'm going to let you decide what to do here. In this instance, you can have Lord Baylor roll for it, or you can choose to increase one resource by 1 point. And if you want, I do have your house sheet pulled up as well, and we can take a look at the specific numbers that you guys have there, if you want a refresher on that.
Yeah, I'd love to see those numbers, and then
Yeah, so
depending on if there's anything
Yeah.
that we really want to just like increase, I'm fine with him rolling something. If y'all
yeah, so yeah, there's not really anything that you're super close on. I mean, you've got 5 wealth that is uninvested. I think your power is, let's see, your power is all spent, or it's all invested. Your population and law are both things that are giving you modifiers on this exact roll. Your law is currently giving you a -2 modifier. Bringing that up any higher would take 7 points. Your population is giving you a modifier of +1. Bringing that up would be 9 points. So you're pretty far from both of those. Your lands are pretty much all invested. Your influence is... you have 1 point of influence that is not spent. And then you don't have any points of in your defense category that's unspent. So basically you have a lot of invested resources, but not a lot that you can actually access or use right now. So that's kind of what things look like. I can give you specific numbers as well. I think if you go on the Discord, you should be able to pull up the most recent House Skrel PDF. It should be the same thing that I'm looking at. Should have the same numbers and everything. But yeah, so you're looking at a 30 defense, 31 influence, 32 lands, 23 law, 21 population, 27 power, and a 35 in wealth. Additionally, your port gives you a +5 bonus on House Fortune rolls because you did invest some of your wealth into that holding. Let's see. And whenever a House Fortune indicates that you would increase your wealth by a +1, you would instead increase that by a +1 d6 because of your marketplace.
Oh yeah.
Or excuse me, because of your port. Because of your marketplace, when you essentially get an additional wealth anytime you would normally get wealth. And then your maester gives you a +3 on those rolls again. So all told, when he would roll his 6d6, He is also getting a, what is this, +8, +7, a +7 to whatever he would normally roll.
Hell yeah.
And comparing that to the chart that's on page, I think, 123 in the book. Yeah. So you can have him roll that, and we can compare it, and I can just take care of resources. We can do management, maybe not in the middle of this. Or we can just pick a resource and increase that by 1. What are y'all thinking?
I'm okay with him rolling.
Yeah, roll it. Fuck it.
All right, roll it up.
All right, I'm gonna roll 66. I'll let you know what he gets. Ooh,
Let's suffer a little bit.
it's actually not too bad. That is 10, 22, 27 +7, so 34 is a growth.
Nice.
Hey.
Which for you guys means
Somebody needs to remove that.
that you will increase 1 resource by 1 point.
Hey, look at that. We did it.
Damn it.
So,
We did it.
and you guys get to choose which resource that is. I will
we do.
say that because of the nature of this, you can choose to make that resource your wealth resource. If you do, you will increase your wealth by not 1 point, but by 1d6
But two.
plus 1.
Oh.
That's right.
Oh.
Yeah,
Because
we
of
got
the
that special shit.
combination of
Well,
your
it
port and your
seems
marketplace.
silly not to do that.
Right,
Yeah.
let's do it.
All right, so who wants
Yeah.
to roll the d6?
The Lord of the House wants to roll that d6.
All right, so Baylor is going to roll his d6.
Oh, I meant
Ooh.
the Lordling, but that's okay.
The Lordling. I could have James roll it. I'm not going to reveal what my roll was.
Nah, the Lord of the House should roll it.
Did you already roll?
I didn't. You
Okay,
did though.
Okay. I did. I got a 6. So
Nice.
you
Nice.
you guys get 7 wealth added to your stores, which is a
Oh, yeah.
significant amount,
Yeah.
taking you
That's a-
from a 35.
35
Oh,
or 42.
Yeah. All the way up to
Nice.
a 42. So,
Rad.
and that takes care of your house fortunes for the month.
Awesome.
You
Yeah, it
can
does.
choose now over the next 2 months to just increase 1 resource by 1 and not do the rolls. That is up to you now on those next 2 months.
Come
But
on, man.
now
We get the chance to roll dice. Let's roll dice.
Oh yeah.
that is, yeah, I will leave that up to you guys. Okay, so that's House Fortune rolls. That's something that happens once every calendar month in the game. That's how I'm going to play that. If it happens when you guys aren't there, I will just kind of let you know what happened,
Sure.
and that's how that'll go. But yeah, so that's House Fortune rolls. Okay, now that that is taken care of, you guys all approach this room, and nobody really has told you why you're here yet. Once everyone has kind of gotten to their respective seats, Lord Baylor will speak up and say, yes, thank you all for gathering here. Sir Clace Harker, you have some news, I think, with some urgency. And at this, Sir Clace will not stand because he requires crutches to stand up. But will just kind of lean forward and say, yes, word has been brought through the ports that there has been a shipwreck off the coast of the south side of the island. It sounds like pirates are suspected, and there may be some survivors. We may want to send some people to look out for it. That part of the coast is may pose a bit of danger for us as well. So we may want to send people with some martial capability as well. Lord Baylor, back to you, and he will say yes. So I have decided that we are going to send a group to scour the coast and search for any survivors, see what they may see. Sir Marcus Cantel, who is he's the Master at Arms. He oversees the training. Is there anyone that you have in mind that should take this expedition on? And he kind of looks over at first to the two knights seated next to him, Sir Merrick Sand and Sir Darren Forloren, both of which you guys would know are very capable at what they do. Sir Merrick Sand is they're both pretty solid on horseback. Merrick Sand uses a bastard sword, and Sir Darren Forloren uses a great sword. Yeah, both good on horse and on foot. And he looks over them, and then kind of looks over Thali and Ironhand, and says, "Yes, I think there are several people here that might make good candidates for this. How many do you think we will need?" And Sir Clay says, "It's hard to say. At least 5 or 6, I think, should do the trick." Yes, I think 5 or 6 should do it. Sir Merrick, why don't you go at least? I think. And Sir Merrick kind of nods and kind of looks hopeful. Lord Baylor acquiesces and looks down the table over at Bartholomew and says, "Bartholomew, I think it would be a good idea to have you on this as well. Your skill with the bow is unmatched in the Stepstones."
Thank you, my lord. I'd be happy to go.
It would be good to have you on the trip as well. Radava.
You honor me, my lord.
Radava, I would like you to accompany as well, just to provide the added support.
Well, of course now. I'd be more than happy to accompany the fine, upstanding soldiers of your castle out off to the coast a ways.
Good. Well, beyond that, I think maybe we should leave it up to volunteers. Is there anyone else who would like to go on this expedition? And he kind of looks over towards Voro and Nim, just kind of gauging reactions.
Oh damn! I'm not sitting next to either one of them.
You can be. I set this up just to have people in places, but if you'd like to be next to them, you can be.
Let me say I'm next to Voro, and when he asks, I put my heel down hard in the middle of Voro's foot.
Okay. Easy enough. When you do that, he kind of exclaims, "What the fuck is that for?"
I just kind of look at him and look at the Lord.
And Baylor kind of looks over at Voro, and Voro kind of sits back. Yeah, I'd be happy to go. And Lord Baylor kind of nods and says, "All right, I think it would be beneficial to have you along as well. Wouldn't hurt to have 2 people capable with a bow on this expedition. Anyone else?" And for you guys, there are, there's a group of people here. You guys can provide some feedback if there are specific people that you wish to accompany. Some of them have, different skills that might be useful depending on what you guys are thinking. But so far it is Sir Merrick, Radava, Thali, and Voro.
Okay.
So you.
I thought there was another. I thought it was another knight that said that they'd go. There were 2 knights that Clace.
There is a Sir Darren Forloren who has not yet spoken up.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And he's the one that is good with the greatsword. He's also younger. You know that he's about 17. Young knight.
Okay.
The older guy's a little bit older.
Father,
Yes, Martin?
may I accompany them? I promise to stay out of the way. I'll stay back near Thali.
Thali
you-
chokes a little bit and then regains his composure.
Accompany
My lord,
them?
I would protect him with my life.
I think that's an unwise decision.
Come on, it'll be good for the kid to stretch his legs a bit, and frankly speaking, all of us are dumber than shite. Your son's been learning, ain't
Thank
he?
you. Somebody can appreciate me. Ask Master Hargrave. I knew everything he asked me today. I'm so bored with lessons.
My
Let
lord,
me see something.
Maester
My lord,
Hargrave does look over and does kind of nod. He did know a lot about the Blackfyre rebellions this morning. I don't know how much that'll help him on the road, but
All I'm saying is, most of us are good at fighting and not much else. If you're looking for someone to spot something out of the ordinary, or maybe recall something from some of those fancy lessons of theirs, might be worth sending the lad. Safe enough.
all right. So I want to do a quick little intrigue
yeah.
because these are fun, and we are gonna do one. So you guys, I think, are trying to convince Lord Baylor to let Martin accompany you.
I'd say.
Something that he is not too keen on.
Right.
For a lot of reasons. So, the way that intrigue works is very similar to combat in that you are going to be taking actions on your turn to try and whittle away this your opponent's composure. So on your character sheet, you should see sections dealing with your intrigue statistics. So your intrigue defense and your composure should both be there. Let me know if you don't see them. We're gonna make this one a little bit quicker than normal. It is just whoever wants to help out with this intrigue against Lord Baylor. So you are all kind of competing against Lord Baylor for this one. So he's going to roll initiative on his own. Anyone that wants to take part in this can. Just let me know.
And we can all take part, right? It's not
you
like...
may all take part if you wish to, yes. And if you want to try and rope in any of the people that are out here with you to assist you, let me know that, because once we roll initiative on this, it'll be pretty well set in stone.
So the way that I get myself involved is that I'll say, my lord, I've fought on behalf of your family before, and I would do it again, tooth and nail. I will protect your son with my life, and Voro as well.
Okay. Voro kind of gives you this incredulous look, but doesn't let it be seen by Lord Skrell.
Yeah.
And okay, so you're involved. Let me go ahead and I assume, Martin, you're going to be involved in this. So Martin
Yes.
and Thali will be involved. Radava, are you going to join in this as well?
Yeah, Rada will join in.
All right.
He'll kind of piggybacking off of Thali's gentle ribbing. He just kind of, yeah, we'll keep him safe. Don't worry. You've been teaching him all kinds of things in this castle of yours. Time to let him see the world a little bit.
Okay. So for this, the way that this intrigue is going to work is everybody's going to roll initiative, which for intrigue is your status plus any bonus dice, that you have in
Dreaming.
what is it?
Status is garbage.
Yup.
Yeah, most of your status is going to be pretty terrible. Initiative. There it is. Okay, any reputation bonus dice. That's what I'm looking for. So if you have any bonus dice in reputation, you can roll those to get your initiative. You already know that Lord Baylor's is 6 because it's or his status is a 6. So you know that his initiative for this is going to be pretty good. Wow, it is very good. He rolled 2 6s and 3 5s and a 4.
Jesus.
So 20, 31 is his initiative. So I dare say he's going first.
Yep.
What did you get, Martin?
I rolled a 12, 16, 18, 19.
A 19 for Martin. All right. What about you, Thali?
I rolled a 5.
A 5. All right. And what about Iron Hand?
I came in with a strong 3.
Atta
All
boy!
right. It's just in order then.
All
that
right.
works out.
Did you roll for Voro?
Is Voro
Yeah, you want to get Voro involved? Voro is,
Yeah, sorry,
is
that
going.
was my...
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see. You were trying to convince him to join in.
Yeah.
Let me get you to make in order to get him involved, I want you to make just make a general persuasion test.
Okay. Yikes.
And I'll give you a bonus dice because of the foot thing. Smashing.
So roll 3 and drop 1, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so anytime, this is for everybody, anytime that I give you a bonus dice, that is an extra dice that you can roll, but you do have to drop the lowest one. So if it's a bonus dice in addition to a bunch of other bonus dice, just remember that you're adding one, but you're also taking away one.
All right, a 10 on persuasion.
10. Okay, that works actually.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. He kind of, after he gives you that incredulous look, he kind of, yeah. I mean, with with Thali and his bow and me with mine, I don't think anyone's going to be able to get close to your son, Lord Skrell.
Is anybody going to say, "And my axe"? Now would be the time.
I don't think anyone here has an axe.
Damn it.
Yeah. Okay, so Lord Baylor is going to go first, and he is just going to give kind of an emphatic, I do not want my son going on this trip. And the way that this works, let me just pull up that section in the book, because that'll be easier. So the next step really is determining what it is that you guys want. I think we've kind of already established that, so I can skip that one. Now we have to talk about what the two main people I think involved in this are Martin and Lord Baylor. So it will be to them that we will be doing the attacks. So Martin, I need to know your disposition with your father, and be honest. And he has a disposition for you as well. Those are on page 144 in the book. But they range from affectionate to malicious, and they give modifiers for deception and persuasion, as well as reducing the amount of essentially influence damage you're doing. So, would you say that you are affectionate, friendly, amiable, indifferent, dislike, unfriendly, or malicious to your father?
Oh, balls. I can't remember what we decided on when we rolled this thing up. There's one thing I did not write down. I believe it was...
Well, this is something that you can decide.
I believe
and this is something also that can change. It's not necessarily locked in stone.
Okay. Then I will go with go with amiable.
Amiable? Okay.
Yeah.
So what that means for you, for the purposes of this, that if he tries to use any persuasion on you, he gets a +1 to his rolls. If he tries to use deception on you, there is no modifier at all. It's a 0.
Gotcha.
Any time that he succeeds and essentially does damage, what would be damage? That number is going to be reduced by 3 because that's the disposition rating. It essentially works like your armor rating does with armor. So just remember, +1 on persuasion, and your disposition rating is 3. And you don't know what your father's is to you. All right.
It's like...
In addition, okay, so the next thing is, we've already done initiative. The next thing is techniques. So there are different techniques you can use in these intrigues that do different things. And I think the best way to reference this is on page 147. The techniques and what they do is listed in a pretty easy to understand chart once I kind of walk you through it. But basically there are 7 different techniques: bargain, charm, convince, incite, intimidate, seduce, and taunt. They deal damage, essentially, based on the influence that they have. So each one of those has a thing next to it that says under the influence category, and that's how you know how much influence damage it's doing. And then there is the persuasion specialty and deception specialty. I'm not going to worry about that too much right now. Those tell you which bonus dice you can roll. But say he is trying to convince you that it's a really bad idea for you to go and that he's in charge. So he is going to use the technique convince, and he is going to roll persuasion plus any bonus dice he has in convince, which... Alright. And he is rolling to beat your intrigue defense.
Which is an 11.
An 11? Okay. So he rolled a 16. So that succeeds.
Balls.
Now he can do his damage to that. So the way that it works is, since he's using convince, it deals damage based on his will rank. So for him, that is a 3. So, and he has, what did I say, 16, and yours was, what was it? What did he have to beat? An 11?
An 11, yeah.
So it's exactly 5 over. So it's 2 degrees of success. So 2 times his base of 3 is 6 damage. So that's 6 damage is coming to your composure. However, it gets reduced by 3 because you're amiable. Okay. So it's actually only 3 coming towards your composure. So your composure would go down from whatever it is currently.
9 to a 6. 9 to a 6.
Your composure is actually 10 because you're stubborn. Mm-hmm. So you have the stubborn, which adds the number of bonus dice you have in dedication to your composure. So your will rank is 3, which times 3 gives you that 9. But because you're stubborn and you have 1 bonus dice in dedication, you get to add that 1, making it a 10. So you're actually only down to a 7.
Okay, cool.
All right. That all makes sense so far?
It does.
Cool. Because it's now your turn. With that, you may now choose a technique to use.
Right.
Do you need?
We will be attempting to bargain.
Okay. So that one uses any bonus dice that you have in bargain. If you don't, it's just your persuasion. Unless you're trying to lie or bluff, in which case you would use deception. And you will deal influence based on your cunning rank if you succeed here. So yeah, roll a persuasion plus. We said bargain? Yeah.
Yeah, plus nothing.
Okay. So what's your result there?
11.
An 11. That does not look like it is going to break through your father's impassive willpower. However, Voro will speak up, and instead of using his turn, because he is not capable of convincing your father on his own to do anything, he is instead going to help you by assisting on his turn and increase your roll by 3, which exactly meets the 14 that you need to get there. That is something that he can do. He can add essentially his some of his rank, just the base numbers, in assisting you, because he knows that his rolls on persuasion are going to be terrible. So that's an option for people that are in these things and are looking at ways that they can help out. So, since that just meets it, you don't get any additional degrees of success, but you do get to apply your cunning rank in damage to his composure. Minus whatever. So 4? Alright. Cool. And that will do it for your turn then, I suppose, right?
Yeah. Do I need to say anything?
You can if you want to. There's time for roleplay here if you wish.
Father, please let me go. They told you they'll keep me safe. I promise I will stay safe. And when we get back, I won't give Master Hargreaves such a hard time with the lessons.
Okay, give me another just general persuasion check.
12.
A 12. Okay. At this, Maester Hargreave actually kind of perks up a little bit and leans in. Okay, and next we go to Bartholomew. What are you gonna do on your turn? And I know that this is the first time we're doing this, so questions, feel free.
Yeah, you're totally fine. My Lord Valor, I have fought on behalf of this boy 5 years ago, if you'll remember, and I am willing to make sure that he stays by my side. I'm willing to lend my bow to make sure that your son is safe. And again, as you've heard from Mr. I'm sorry, sir, what was your name? And he looks at Colin's character.
You can call me Iron Hand, if you please.
I will. And sir, as you've heard from Iron Hand, the boy is brilliant and would be of incredible service to this small party. And yeah, so I'm gonna roll whatever I need to, but that was what I wanted to say.
Okay. That sounds like you are... Let's see. That's definitely more of a convince thing, so it doesn't matter, you don't have bonus dice in any of it. So yeah, just roll a persuasion. And go ahead and I'll give you a bonus dice.
Okay.
For that speech, recalling back some of the things that you've done for the family.
Okay. Yikes. 8!
An 8. Yep, an 8 is not gonna do anything. Yeah, you say these words and they just seem to break on Lord Baylor's demeanor doesn't seem to have any sort of effect on him. All right, and Ironhand, now it comes to you.
Yeah. Ironhand, now that he's kind of started this fight, is actually gonna just sit back and try to get a read on Lord Baylor. So I'm gonna use the read target.
Ooh, there it
action.
is. Somebody's been reading ahead. Good. Okay. Yeah, so for you guys, this is a different action than trying to influence your target. In lieu of coercing a target, you can hold back and read your target's disposition and technique. Make an awareness test against your target's passive deception result. If you equal or beat your target's test result, you learn the target's current disposition and the technique he uses for this exchange. As a result of this insight, you gain +1 dice on all deception and persuasion tests for the duration of the intrigue.
Smart.
So, yeah, and Colin is an extremely perceptive character, so... yeah, so you're making an awareness test and against his passive deception. And for you guys, since we haven't done passives in this system yet, the way that passives are calculated is it is the skill rank times 4. And if there's any bonus dice in a specialty, those numbers are added to that score. So if you have a 3 in will, your passive will would be a 12. So your awareness, passive awareness, would be your awareness rank times 4. So passive deception, here it is. So you are rolling to beat that.
That's not the worst thing I've ever done. So that's an 11 on that awareness check.
An 11. All right. You sit back and instead of actually arguing any of these points, you just kind of take notice of Lord Skrell and try to get some insight into what he's thinking. And just paying attention to him and his mannerisms, you have seen more than I think most other people here. You have seen some of the lengths to which this man is willing to go to protect his family.
Mm-hmm.
You know that he loves his son, and is therefore the disposition is friendly, which is as high as it can go. Or excuse me, affectionate. Affectionate is as high as it can go.
Aww.
Yeah, I lied.
He
Friendly
loves
is
you,
second
James.
highest. So you know that he is affectionate. His disposition is affectionate, and he is using the convince technique on his rolls, which means that he is using his will rank to do damage, and any bonus dice that he might have in convince is what he's using to roll those.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what you're looking at with him.
Hell yeah.
All right, and with that, it comes back up to his turn. So he is going to roll. Oh wait, let's see. Let's sheet again. He is going to roll another persuasion, and you know that this is convince, so you're aware of what he's doing. He's rolling really good though. That's a 12, 14, 18. Yeah. 18 against your, what did we say, it was an 11, so that's 2 degrees of success again, so it's the same result. You're getting hit with 3 more composure damage. Martin. Yeah, so he just says, your arguments are sound, but he's already been kidnapped once in that same area. I just don't think I can part with him again. not like that. All right, coming back to you, Martin.
How much did he hit me for with that again?
3.
3 again. Okay.
Yeah. 3 influence.
All right. I'm going to try to convince him
Okay, roll me a persuasion
that it
check.
would be good for me to go, or it would be safe for me to go. Oops. 11.
I think that's the same result you got before. This time, Maester Hargreave
It was.
will come in and say, with the addition of perhaps Sir Darren Forloren or Nim or someone else, perhaps Nicholas. Nicholas is good at caring for any injuries that might be picked up in the field. Might that improve the prospects, sir? And he is going to boost.
Can
you...
multiple people help
Yes,
one
they can.
person? Okay,
They can.
then that's what Thali is gonna do. Thali's gonna say, because he just said that he was kidnapped in the same place before. He's gonna say, "And my lord, if I may, your son was not with us when he was kidnapped previously." And that's
Ooh.
yeah,
Okay.
that's my way of aiding.
Okay.
Or aiding our best hope over here, because I'm rolling 2 dice.
Yeah. Well, no. This is exactly this is how you can be helpful in an intrigue, though, is by using the assist. Because what you're doing now. So for the assist action, yeah, that's not going to help him too much, but it'll help maybe a little bit. Just roll me a persuasion test.
Yep. You got it, bud.
Mm-hmm. And give me, actually, because of what you're doing here, I want you to give me... I want a bonus dice on this one.
Okay.
So, because of the way that you phrased that, bringing up that you guys were not there. Because that is a good point.
You got it, boss. That's another 8.
It's an 8. All right.
I mean,
so
I'm
you're
good
gonna,
at one thing, boys.
You're gonna add 1 point to his roll.
Hell yeah! There you
Uh-huh.
go, bud.
That takes it from, what did you roll? An 11? So now it's a 12? Okay.
Plus, if the maester helped, then
Maester, the Maester is also helping. For him, let me get him to roll his persuasion. Let's see, what is the Maester's persuasion?
I don't know
I
what
had
is the
this
maester's
one already
persuasion.
pulled up. Okay. Oh, that's a success. Okay. Yeah, the Maester is going to add another 2 points to it, which gets you right to 14 again. So there you go. So you can apply your composure again, unless anyone else wants to also add. He would need another 5 points to get him to
Can't give you 5 points.
an additional lot of damage. But so the way that assist works is you're trying to you test persuasion. If you succeed, you get to add half of your persuasion ranks to this. So
yeah, sorry, I'm
Radava, you probably actually couldn't help.
Almost certainly not. I was looking to see if there, and this is like me trying to figure out the mechanics in my head. If there's a way that I can leverage my understanding of the relationship between Lord Baylor and his child to help Martin raise his argument better. And
Okay.
I don't know that there is.
So what I will allow you to do here, because you're not good at all at persuading people, and I
Nope.
think you probably recognize that because you have
yeah.
a literal flaw in that.
I sure do.
So, since you were the one who was perceptive enough to understand what's going on under the demeanor of the father, I will say that if you would like to bestow your bonus test dice to him, that you can do that.
Let's
if you
do
find
that.
if you can, so what that will mean is, James, I just want you to roll just an extra dice right now.
Okay.
And
And basically, a
go.
lot of us gonna.
we'll do this a
kind
little
of
retroactively,
persuasion?
since this is just a d6. Just roll a d6 and add it to what we just had.
Okay. Well, my original roll was an 11
Yeah, and then we got it to 14.
We're all the way up
plus
to 14.
another 2, 13.
It's another 2. Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
16 total.
16. Yeah, so we're at 16 total now. Okay. Yeah, that definitely succeeds, and you can see now the you can see he's starting to warm to the idea. He still doesn't seem convinced, but you've started to wear him down. It looks he's starting to come around. You can see that in his face now. Is there anything else anyone had on their turns this round? Or are we ready to start the next one? No? Alright.
Ready.
He will roll again his convince. Okay, that's not a good roll.
Here we go! Time,
Um,
boys!
so
Let's break
that
this barricade.
that's a 12,
Yeah, suck it.
okay, which does hit.
Still hits.
Still hits,
Well-
but it's only 1 degree of success, which means that he is only going to be coming at you with 3, which is exactly what gets taken away by your amiable demeanor or disposition, which means that
Okay.
you actually don't take any damage. So you are good. Because you don't like your father. I'll just point this out. He only
I didn't
doesn't
say I don't like my father.
amiable. That's true. You're only amiable. It's just because you don't love him.
Yeah,
He's
my
just, he's a
father, I
shitty
mean, it's
teenager. This is to be expected.
Yeah, he's not the
Mhm.
best dad in the world. He's not my friend,
Alright.
Yeah.
but I like him well enough. I don't hate him.
This is fair. All right. Moved it on the wrong person. Okay. Well, that was his turn. So now it comes back to you, Martin. Go ahead, and if you want to roll your test again, you still have the bonus from Radava, so you still are rolling an extra test dice.
Okay.
So to be clear, this is a
Well, then-
test dice he's adding, not a bonus dice. So he is.
Okay.
So whatever your persuasion is, I think it's a 3.
3. Yeah.
3? Okay, so you're rolling 3 plus any bonus dice, which I don't think you're using. So you're actually just
Nope.
rolling 4. And
Yeah.
you're not dropping any.
And we're just we're just convinced again.
Okay.
Father, please, I will stay out of the way. I'll stay close to Thali or whoever is the farthest away from danger. I'm just, I want to see something.
Okay, roll your.
All
roll
right,
your
that
persuasion
is
test.
a lot better. That's an 18.
Let's go!
18. Okay.
18.
Does anyone want to help here?
I've done all I can do.
Radava, you probably have.
I
Thali?
mean, yeah. I
Give-
get...
Yeah, if you want, you can try. You said it. We rolled an 18. Is that what we said? total?
Correct.
Okay. And your cunning is 4?
Mine?
Yeah. No, his. It's a 4.
My
Okay.
cunning is 4, correct.
Okay. It actually isn't going to matter. So, Martin, how do you convince your father to let you to go on this trip? What is it that breaks him?
Okay. Father, you know how capable these men are, and you know that I would not put myself in danger again. The one time was more than enough. I like comfortable sleeping arrangements. I like good food. Being a captive was not to my liking. I won't let that happen again.
There's a bit of a pause after you say that, and he looks around the room, and he can see that he's the only person fighting for this side of the argument. And you see the decision kind of click in his head, and he nods. All right, so be it.
Thank you, Father.
You'll be escorted by these men, and whoever else we deem needs to accompany you. We will make sure that you're well provisioned, and we will set out the details for this right away. All right. Well, I suppose we'd better get out the maps. And I think with that, we should call it a night. Call it the end of the first session. The next bit is going to be kind of planning this trip and going on it. So, yeah, cool. Well, that was certainly a little bit longer than I had anticipated, and as with any first session, didn't get nearly as far as I thought we would.
I always overplanned for that first session.
But that's okay. Yeah, I definitely overplanned for it, but that's a good thing.